Coming up on Night Watch, finding the silver lining, how a drunk driving accident in Oregon might be saving lives right here in Northeast Iowa. And later, booming business. Why is Waverly and Bremer County resistant to the down economy? And finally, a white Christmas at the White House. Our first look at Christmas caroling gigs of the lifetime. Night Watch starts now.
Live from the Grant Price Studio in the McElroy Communication Arts Center with news that you need to know. This is Night Watch.
Good evening, Cedar Valley. I'm Danny Householder and welcome to Night Watch. We have a great show for you tonight, but before we get started, let's see what made headlines this week with Night Watch news anchor Brandon Hush. Brandon?
Thanks, Danny. A group trying to force Wisconsin State Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald from office may have enough signatures for a recall election. The group turned in petitions to the Government Accountability Board of Wisconsin on Wednesday. Fitzgerald is one of 4 Republican state senators targeted for recall, along with Governor Scott Walker. They were all key players in passing a law that stripped most public employees of their collective bargaining rights. The signatures will have to be verified before a recall election moves forward. Some of the internet's biggest websites went dark yesterday to protest an anti-piracy bill that critics say will wreck the internet. Wikipedia, user-submitted news site Reddit, the blog Boing Boing, and the Cheeseburger Comedy Network all shut down yesterday. The protest is their response to stop the Online Piracy Act, or SOPA. The bill claims to crack down on copyright infringements by restricting access to the sites that fuel it. If SOPA passes, copyright holders would be able to complain about law enforcement officials in order to shut down websites. A vacation aboard an Italian cruise ship ended in chaos over the weekend for hundreds of people. 4 Kentucky students on a school trip were among those on the coast of Concordia when it hit rocks and rolled onto its side off the coast of Giglio Island. Now, Lauren Moore, Jordan Powell, Nick Hope, and Joseph Ryan are back home in the U.S. At least 16 people died in the shipwreck. Another 16 are unaccounted for, including 2 Americans. Former Miss USA Rima Fakey was in a Michigan courtroom yesterday after being arrested last month for allegedly driving drunk. Police pulled over the beauty queen in December and say they found an open bottle of champagne in her car. At the time, Fakey's attorney said that she thought she was okay to drive, but realized too late that she was not. The police report says her blood alcohol content was twice the legal limit. Her trial is set for March and faces jail and fines. Fakey won Miss USA in 2010. For more news, tune in Monday night at 8 for WTV8 News. Now back to Danny for more Night Watch.
Thanks, Brandon. 20 years ago, a drunk driving accident left Kurt Hampton pronounced dead at the scene in Oregon. But by miraculous circumstances, Kurt joins me now.
Hello.
Kurt, thanks for being here.
You're very welcome.
Can you tell me what happened the night of that accident?
Well, actually, I started a little bit before that. I had a brother that was in a fire, 2 brothers that were in a fire, and one of them was killed at the scene. The other one was 60% burnt. So I spent like a week in the hospital with them. Finally, the doctors told me, get out of there, go home, get some rest, and this and that. I got home, jumped in the shower, got a phone call. One of my little sisters was in the hospital. She was 5 months pregnant. She lost her baby. And so I went and picked up, I got 17 brothers and sisters. So I went through and I picked up a sister and brother and took them to the hospital. As we walked in the room is when I heard the doctor say, we got to kill it. Because it was born 5 months, you know, she was only pregnant 5 months, and it had no lungs or anything, so there was no way they could keep it alive. And I just lost it. I remember going down to my car, I had a beautiful Camaro, and left, and that's pretty much all I remember. The accident was that night. I was told that I had a drunk driver hit me head on, and we were both doing 65, and found out the other day that it wasn't just one time that they revived me at the scene of the accident. It was 3 times. Wow. Then they had to use the jaws of life to get me out of it, and took me to the hospital. I was in a coma for a while, and now I'm here.
And this was on Fremont Bridge in Portland, Oregon, correct?
Yes.
This is a bridge that you had probably taken multiple times, is that right?
Yeah.
And how did your family take the news now of you being in such a critical accident after
2 other ones?
There were other people in your family who were struggling so much.
Well, we were on, I guess my mom was telling me that we had the bottom floor, 2nd floor, and 3rd floor of the hospital. She was going up and down, up and down. So. And
how was your family notified?
My mother, she was standing outside smoking a cigarette at the hospital, and she said that she heard the accident and she just knew right then and there. And so she was already at the hospital.
So how have you looked at life differently since such a dramatic event?
You know, you always got to tell the person you love that you love them. I mean, because there may not be a tomorrow. I'm living proof that, you know, things happen.
And what kind of rehab did you have to go through for this?
You know, I don't honestly remember a lot of it. I did a lot of things on my own.
You say
I could not stand being around people.
And you said that you couldn't remember a lot. Well, nothing from the accident, though.
Correct.
What was the first thing that you remember after the accident?
Waking up, asking my dad what he was doing there. He was sitting at my at my feet, and he didn't, you know, he wasn't there when my brother lost his baby a month earlier of SIDS. So.
How did you take the news that you had just been pronounced dead and revived back to life?
They didn't actually tell me a lot for a while.
Really?
And with me not remembering, I don't remember that at all either.
So at what point then did you find out about it?
I seen pictures. I gave you guys pictures to look at.
Absolutely. And we will definitely be taking a look at those later. But when we come back, for right now, we are going to show you what Kurt is doing to keep drunk drivers off the roads and how it's available right here in the Cedar Valley. We'll be right back. Welcome back to KnightWatch, and welcome into Kurt's cab. So Kurt, you told us earlier how a drunk driving accident nearly took your life. So can you explain Kurt's cabs?
Well, I wanted to go have a beer one day, and I was with a bunch of friends and this and that. Actually, that's two different stories, sorry.
That's all right.
I wanted to go have a beer one day, and I live about 10 miles out of town, and there was no way for me to get back and forth because I won't drink and drive. And then I went with some friends back about a month later, and I ended up driving a couple drunks home. One of them tried handing me $20. I told him, no, I don't want your money. You know, he only lived 2 blocks from the bar. And then he put it in the van and shut the door and walked away. And as I was pulling out, I thought, you know what? I do want your money. And I went and picked up my kids in Oregon. They were visiting my mother. And when I got back, I started.
How long ago did you start this business?
About 2.5 years ago.
And so what kind of successes now have you seen? I mean, obviously you've got this shuttle bus. And what other kinds of things have you done with the business?
I take people, I do deliveries. I take them just about anywhere that they need to go. I know for a fact I've saved a few lives, whether it's, you know, their personal death or just the death of an OWI, you know.
How can people in Waverly come and people in the Cedar Valley, how can they get in contact with you?
All they got to do is add me to Facebook or give me a call.
How many college students would you say that you've been able to help?
Oh gosh, there's been a few of them. I don't pay attention to how many. I mean, I've had full shuttles a few times. I've even taken some dance girls to Des Moines. You know, spent all day there with them, and then they come back, and that's from college.
So this has even developed into something where you are willing to, you know, travel people back and forth for long distance.
That is correct. I got to do something because everybody and their mother wants money from me. So,
Absolutely. And we, in case you don't know why Kurt has started this business, we showed you some photos earlier. Let's go ahead and show those again if we can. And Kurt, do you want to just go through maybe some of the processes of just making sure that you were able to pick people up, maybe inform them about some of the deals that you do?
Okay. You call 641-228-3345. That's my phone number. And I've got a listing over there, like Calmer. There has to be at least 5 people for me to use the shuttle, and preferably at least 10, but 5 will do. And you know, like Cedar Falls is $10 per person. You know, so.
And you mentioned that you know that you are saving lives with this business. What kind of reward does that give for you mentally, emotionally?
You know, this business does a lot for me. I'm gone a lot. My kids don't like that. You know, they've got a lot of time to themselves, and they're getting 15 and 16, so they're getting a little older.
Right. And so we thank you so much, first off, for being here. Second, is there one more thing that you could just tell the people of Cedar Valley about drunk driving?
Don't do it. Call me. If I can be there, I will.
All right, well, you heard it here right on KnightWatch. Kurt, thank you for joining us. Make sure you stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to tell you about why Waverly's doing so well in the down economy and how you can get in on that. KnightWatch will return in 2 minutes. Welcome back to KnightWatch. So while there's so much problems in the economy today, Waverly is doing very well. There are high unemployments everywhere. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the national unemployment rate is 8.5%, but here in Bremer County, it's 3.5%. And if you are searching for a job in the Waverly area, you are in luck, because over 100 jobs are posted waiting for qualified individuals to apply. Joining me now to talk about Waverly's booming economy and the area's growing manufacturing industry is Waverly's Director of Economic Development, Brent Mathias, and of United Equipment Accessories, Mark Hanwalt, President of that company. So Brent, first off, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. So how are the unemployment rates in Waverly so low comparative to the rest of the country?
It's an exciting process here in Bremer County, we think, because we have companies like Mark's that are growing and putting out product, and they need more workers. We've got companies throughout Waverly that need different varieties of workers, and the people in Bremer County, for the most part, if they're unemployed, they're looking for something at the same time. They want a job, so that's really what's brought our rate down to 3.5%.
So how important is the economy that we have so many local small businesses?
We couldn't do it without companies like United Equipment. Having companies that are not only family-owned, but we have a nice mix. Family-owned companies, we have some national companies, global companies, and they're doing business all over. But the great thing that helps us with our unemployment rate is that our companies here are diverse enough that they can get through some of the, what I call, the economic slumps or downturns and still be all right, and then be ready for when things hopefully uptick.
And of course, for a company to be able to make money, they have to sell it to somebody. Why is it good for customers to shop in Waverly rather than other places?
It's a great opportunity for people, and I'll let Mark talk a little bit about this too, but we've got businesses that complement each other. Maybe one company might make a part for another company. Another company might sell something that originally the first company needs. And I think the other thing is our economy around here, at least in Bremer County, is for the most part ag-based, or at least that drives it. And we've had a couple of good years agriculturally that have allowed people to spend more money within our communities.
Mark, moving to you, how does United Equipment Accessories benefit from Waverly's good economy?
Well, first of all, Brent's absolutely right about complementary businesses. First of all, we have probably one of the better vendor networks of any region in the Midwest even, because we have John Deere as a magnet company that draws a lot of companies to it to supply them products. They used to be vertically integrated, now they're horizontally integrated, and they pretty much farm everything out, and not to be fun, but and so that same vendor base can be utilized by United Equipment and any other small company like ourselves, and so operations that we may have to send out for across the country are done here.
What kind of jobs are you guys looking for people to fill?
Well, right now we have the highly skilled engineering positions. We have one of those, possibly two will be later this year. We're looking for a CNC machinist. We're looking for a straightforward machinist. We're looking for assembly workers. So, and actually we're looking for a marketing manager right now too. So we have the economy is picking up. There's more activity along the jobs line, and so we're actively seeking employment.
Why is it that you guys are able to have so many jobs while the rest of the country is suffering?
Well, I think the Midwest tends to be less cyclical. We don't boom and we don't bust. And the benefit of a Midwest family-owned business is that we don't hire and fire quickly. If things get bad, we find things for those employees to do, even though we may be suffering on the profit side until things do get better, because you invest, well, you become attached to your employees because they're part of the family, you might say, but you also you invest a lot in your employees, and to have that intellectual capital walk away is tough to replace, very expensive to replace again. So you want to keep them as long as you can.
Mark and Brent, thank you guys so much for coming in, and good luck to both of you.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, when we come back, we will be talking to some Wartburg Choir members who took a trip to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., to meet with the president at the White House. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Welcome back. It isn't very often that the average American has had the opportunity to go inside the White House, but then again, Wartburg Choir isn't very average. The White House extended an invitation for the Wartburg Choir to sing over Christmas break. Here to tell us about this once-in-a-lifetime experience are Wartburg Choir members Claire Trainer and Rex Davidson. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So Rex, you're the Wartburg student body president. Now, being that, did you get any special treatment meeting, the other president over in D.C.?
Unfortunately, I am just another person who gets checked routinely and, shuffled through about 73 levels of security and left in a room for about half an hour, just like everyone else. So that's okay.
Were they aware that the president of Wartburg Choir was there?
Well, president of Wartburg Choir, I imagine.
I mean, president of Wartburg College. I'm sorry.
But no, I don't think so.
All right, well, we'll work on that for
I don't even know if
right?
he knew we were there, but I think he did.
Claire, can you explain some of the people that you guys were able to meet as a choir?
Yeah, well, we sang for like this open house, so people just walking through the White House were able to stop and see us, and that was really cool. And then actually, on the way back, we divided up into 2 planes, and on the second plane, we got to meet Al Franken, senator from Minnesota.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool.
How did you guys find out that you guys were going to D.C.?
Okay, well, Dr. Nelson, our director, got a call back in October, and he came into the choir and told us, he was like, okay, I have a call that I got, and I can't tell you guys anything about it. So we were all just like really freaking out, and he said, we got a call from the White House. And we all just thought he was joking, but they actually called, they found our CD on iTunes, and they invited us to come and perform for their little Christmas celebration. So we sent in our application and then got another call about 2 months later, and we were going.
What was your reaction to this?
I was just blown away because, I mean, the White House, that's like, it's, the White House. So it was just really cool, and we were all really excited to go.
It's the place to be, right?
Absolutely.
You mentioned a little bit of security earlier. I mean, can you guys explain what that's like at the White House where the president is living?
Well, I don't, were you in the first group?
No, I was in the first group.
Okay, well, I was in the second group. The first group went through with Dr. Nelson, so there was a little less questioning. But when the second group went through, we were with President Colson and Mrs. President Colson, and then also Hans Pregler and
Sally?
I think Sally Malcolm also was with us. And we were shuffled from one gate to the other gate, all the way around the other side of the White House, which took about 20 minutes to walk there. And then we waited there for another 20 minutes while they confirmed where we were supposed to be, told us to go back to the other gate, where we waited another 20 minutes just to get them to get our IDs before we can even start to go in. And then once we were inside the first gate, again, like I said, we had another security check. It was crazy, but I was expecting something similar to that. So it's only the White House, right?
Yeah. How does this compare to your guys' other college experiences?
It doesn't. I don't think. We've never had anything. I mean, we sang at some great things in Europe, but I think one of the things that a lot of the choir talked about was these Europe churches and cathedrals are awesome, but it's not ours. We hadn't sung at anything so huge and such a big deal. So singing in Washington, D.C. was awesome.
What were the dates that you guys were there?
The 18th and 19th of December.
So you didn't mind at all missing out on some of your Christmas break?
Oh, heavens
not at all.
No, it was a gift to the nation, right? I mean, that's where it's at.
In regards to the concerts, what all did you guys sing for? What were all the events? Right now we see you guys singing outside the White House. What was that like, singing as a choir? One last time outside the White House. What song was it? The Wartburg something. I heard the sound for it, but now I've lost it.
Sang the Wartburg.
The loyalty song.
Mm-hmm. I should know that. I should know that.
It's all right.
How was that? I mean, was that the finale?
No, that was actually pre-concert. We did that the night before, but it was really it was kind of the the pinnacle of the whole thing. You just finally realize you're there, and it was just really it's pretty moving. Yeah, it was surreal. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here, and we need to take a quick break, but more with Rex and Claire in just 2 minutes. Welcome back. We are here with choir members Rex Davidson and Claire Trainer. Guys, once again, thanks for coming in. They just went on a trip to the White House this past December, and they sang at the White House and were able to take a trip to D.C. What are your guys' favorite memories from this trip?
Ooh, Rex, you can go first.
I think actually we got to sing the National Cathedral as well. And being at the National Cathedral was the first thing we did, and so for me that was when the real sense of I'm an American. It felt so good. I'm sitting in a place that you could have been sitting in 100 years ago, and I get the same feeling of just I don't like nationalism, you know, like it's just great. You know, it's just awesome. So I don't know, that is kind of cheesy.
How would you play?
Okay. I have never been to DC before, so I think it was really cool to see like all of these monuments and everything. And I mean, you see pictures of the White House and the Capitol, but to actually see them in person, and then the fact that we got to sing in the White House, and a thing I didn't know is that not many people get to go in there. You can't just like walk around in there, but we got to go kind of like a little behind the scenes look, so that was just amazing.
What monuments did you see, and what things behind the scenes did you see as well?
Well, we were able to see like Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial, and then like Jefferson Memorial. We did like all of the war memorials, that kind of thing. And then the cool thing about the White House is they brought us downstairs into the green room, and I guess that's where they house all the performers before they do their whole performing thing. So they had pictures of like Rascal Flatts and other artists on the wall, and we were escorted everywhere by like interns for the White House. So that was pretty cool.
It sounds like it was a great trip. I'm happy for you guys you got to go, but I can't help but be a little jealous at the same time. And I'm sure your friends were jealous too. So.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be all the time that we have for tonight and this edition of Night Watch. But be sure you tune in Monday night at 8 for WTV8 News and next Tuesday for another brand new edition of Sports Night. We hope to see you back here in 2 weeks for another edition of Night Watch. Have a good night, Cedar Valley.